This is April 2025 question 23. The question on Apollo Limited manufactures fresh juice for both local and export markets. The company has provided the following data for the year 2024. So we have the quantities produced in this column. Then we have the production cost in this particular column. You can see from January to December. Then required, generate the descriptive statistic for the quantities and production cost, generate the regression output, and estimate the cost of producing 900,000 units at a 95% confidence level. Then if the selling price is 250, determine by graphical method the break-even point. So that was 20 marks in total. So the first adjustment that I wanted us to do in this question is that since this is not truncated, you can see this is not truncated, then there is no need of truncating this. So if the quantities produced are not truncated, then there was no need of truncating the production cost as well. So to change this first, I want to remove the truncation part. Then here you start with an equal sign, then click on 72,000, then multiply times 1,000. We are multiplying times 1,000 so that it can be not truncated. Then you're going to get 72 million, then drag that down to December. So we have the amounts of production cost which are not truncated. Now after that, I want to cut this. Control X, then paste here, then right click, then paste as values. There is no feature for paste as values. Let's see. Now copy, Control C, then click here and right click, then paste as values. Don't paste the normal one, just paste as values. Then after that, you can remove the one that is on the other side. Right click and clear content on the other side. Now we have the production cost in millions. Now part A, generate the descriptive statistic for quantities and production cost. And that was not difficult. You simply go to the data menu, data analysis. You'll see under the analysis group, you click on the data analysis. Then under the data analysis, you look for descriptive statistics. We have it here, descriptive statistics. Click on it. Then the input range, you're going to pick quantities produced and production cost together. Quantities produced and production cost up to December, from the title headings, column headings up to December. So they are grouped by columns. Then of course label in the first row because you selected including the title headings, so you check this. Output range is where you want your answer to go. So output range here, output range. Select that you want your answer to go to cell B28. This is where the output will go. Then check the summary statistics, the confidence level for mean, kth largest, and also kth smallest. So that is it. Click on OK, and you'll get your descriptive statistics. So part B, generate the regression output and estimate the cost of producing 900,000 units at the 95% confidence level. That is at the 95% confidence level. Now to do this, again, go to the data menu. If you are on the home menu, you go to the data. Then under the analysis group, go to data analysis. This time round, go for regression. So go for regression, then click on OK. Now the input Y in our data, you can see the data. Y is the dependent variable. So you pick production cost all the way to the 144 million from production cost to the last. Input X, pick from the quantities produced to the 1.4 million. That is the input X. Then of course labels have also been selected. Labels means the heading of our data. So check labels. Confidence level by default is 95. So you only check here if you are changing the confidence to another one. But if you leave, by default is 95%. Output, where you want your answer to go. So the output range. So it's in this worksheet. If you say new worksheet, it will create a new worksheet. If you say new workbook, it will create a new workbook. So I want mine to go to this worksheet where, make sure the cursor is blinking here, then click here on B50. That is where the answer will go. Now they don't want residuals. Residuals, standardized residuals, residual plots, and line plots are not necessary in this particular question. So that is all. Just click on OK. That will give you the regression statistics, the summary of regression output. We have the regression statistic, the multiple R. This is a coefficient of determination, the R square. We have the analysis of variance. You can see the regression, the mean square, and the rest. Then we have the coefficients, the intercept, and quantity produced. These are the fixed cost and the variable cost per unit. We have the lower, the same coefficients at lower 95, the same coefficients at upper 95. So that has been given in our regression output. Now they wanted us to estimate the cost of producing 900,000 units, which means that we have units produced are 900,000. Then at 95% confidence interval, that is at 95% confidence interval. What is the production cost? This can be pushed up there because we want the production cost. Equal sign, you can pick the production cost up there. Production cost. You can also have the same production cost, then you can also have the same production cost here. Now, after having that, the other production costs, this will be at lower 95%. If they want at lower 95%, remember the question didn't want that. What if they want at upper 95% confidence interval? Though the question did not require these other two. The question only said at 95% confidence interval. So they only wanted this at 95% confidence interval. We are only adding the others. If at all you are asked to get the rest, then how do you get that? Once you have that, then we can get the cost. Now the cost is gotten by an equation. Y is equal to, if you want to get the production cost, this will be Y is equal to A plus BX. Y is equal to A plus BX. That is how you get the fixed cost. Not the fixed cost, but the total production cost. Y is equal to A plus BX. Now the first one here will be equal sign. Now A is the intercept, so you click on the intercept, plus, then open bracket, BX. Now B is this, then times X is the units produced. X becomes the units produced, then you close those brackets. You don't lock anything. So Y is equal to the fixed cost plus the B, which was the variable cost per unit, then multiply times the X, which is the units produced. So that gives us 101,565,495.21. Now same thing here at lower 95, if they had asked that, that would be equal sign. A is 549 plus, then open bracket. B, not that, that is wrong. Now lower 95 is this other side. The lower 95 is this other side. So A is the 366 plus, then open bracket. B is 81 times then the unit produced are 900,000 again. So you close bracket, enter. That becomes the answer for lower. Now to separate, this can be given some color to show that this is the at 95. This is at lower, then this other one is at upper. And also give that another interesting color. This is at upper 95. So the total cost at upper 95 will be equal sign. A is to this intercept, the intercept, plus open bracket, B is 109, then times the variable cost per unit is, the variable cost per unit has already been clicked, then the X is the 900,000, close bracket and enter. So that is how you get the other part for the part B of the question. So the only thing we didn't do yesterday is to make those other amounts to be in full. That is the only thing that we didn't adjust yesterday. Now, if the selling price was given as 950, determined by graphical method the break-even point. Finish this up, we start with the parameters that have been given. The parameters, and start with the sales price per unit. What is the sales price or unit price? We have the unit price. Now the unit price was given as 250 in the question. That is the unit price. Then give me the variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit equal sign. Then you click on this here. That is the variable cost per unit. Then we have the intercept, which is the fixed cost. The intercept or the fixed cost, and that has been given us. Fixed cost is equal sign. Click on this one that we have here under the coefficients, and that is here. Now this can be truncated to some 2 decimal place, that is too long. Truncate that to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. Then create a schedule. After that, we create a schedule that we can use to compute profit. Remember, a BEP is a profit that gives you a level of unit sold that gives you zero profit. That is break-even point. So we have January, then January to December, January to December, then units, units produced, units produced. Then after units produced, you can go for the sales revenue, sales revenue. If you want, you can go for the variable cost, but let us just go for the total cost, total cost. Then after total cost, you'll go for profit, the net profit, profit for the year, profit for the year. Now the units produced, if you use the units produced that you've been given, so assuming that we just use what we have as 600,000, so we have 600,000. So you use the 600,000 and drag down. Let's see if this will give you any BEP. Then the sales revenue will now be equal sign the units produced times the unit price, which is 250. If you use what we have, enter, that becomes 150, then drag down all the way to December. That will be, I've not locked something, so you lock the units produced. So lock the units produced before you drag down, and that will give us the revenue. So once you have the revenue, get the total cost, and total cost will be equal sign the units produced, or equal sign, click on the fixed cost plus open bracket, the units produced is 600 times the variable cost per unit, which is variable cost per unit is 95.17. Then you log the variable cost per unit. So fixed cost plus units produced times the variable cost per unit. Remember to log the variable cost per unit. This gives us 73, which then will be copied down. So now something again needs to be logged. So undo and log the fixed cost. Log the fixed cost as well because it's a constant element. So fixed cost is logged and also the variable cost per unit is logged. Only the units produced is not logged. So enter and drag down. That becomes our total cost. Then profit for the year. Profit for the year will be the sales revenue minus the total cost. That will give us the 76 million, which will be dragged down. Now looking at this, there is no BEP. The reason why we are saying that there is no BEP is because, as you can see, there is no way you can draw a chart and get profit that is zero, which means the units as given cannot be used. Those units as given cannot be used. If you draw a chart with this, there will be no BEP. So if you want to use a chart to get BEP, you need profits that are positive and other profits that are negative. So that with positive profits and negative profits, if you do a chart, then there's a place where the profit will be zero. So that forces us to guess, and when guessing, we need to know how do you usually get BEP. BEP can be obtained by, so BEP is equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Just that we don't have contribution per unit here. There is no, can we be able to get contribution per unit? Over contribution. So it means that for us to get this, it will be equal sign, click on fixed cost, then divide that with open bracket. The unit price is this, minus the variable cost, which is this, to get contribution. And BEP is around 102. You can see, if you sell around 102 units, that is where your break-even point is. 102,762.81. We can use one decimal. And BEP is that, 102,763. That is the break-even point. So it means we need 100,000 units. And if we need 100,000 units, I'm going to guess from 50,000. So we start from 50,000, then we add maybe 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 until we get to 100. So adjust the units produced. Start with equal sign, then 50,000. 50,000. That is 50,000. Then for the second one, it will be equal sign 50,000 plus 10,000. 50,000 plus 10,000, enter. This is 60, then now you can drag from here. Drag from the 60 moving down all the way to 150. So we have 50 moving to 150,000 as our units that we have created. Now when you do that, you can see clearly that at least we have profits that are negative and we also have profits that are positive. With that, we can draw a chart to determine the BEP because now we have an estimate of where BEP is. So there was no need of January to the last one. That is not useful, can be done away with. This is all that is relevant. Now with what we have, let us draw a chart. Select this and click on insert, then recommended chart. Then go to the second one here under recommended, go to this line chart. Then OK. Line chart, then OK. Drag it down that we can position it here. The same thing, position it here. Some chart. So position this up to here. That's our chart that we need to get the BEP in units and also the BEP in revenue. Edit it and start by giving the title. We'll start by the axis title. Grid lines as well. I prefer these two. These are units. This here is the amount. Then a chart showing BEP in units and in revenue. A chart showing BEP in units and in revenue. So here, that is the chart showing BEP in units and in revenue. So BEP is around here. This part, this particular part around here, that is where there is BEP. Or just like what we did yesterday, because this is not accurate, wherever they are giving me, this is not the accurate point. That doesn't look like the accurate point, so you can use it as the estimate for BEP. This one is showing 120, which is wrong. So you can use a text box, so you insert and go to insert, then text box, then you can draw a text box here. You can draw a text box, then say that BEP in units, BEP in units, we had gotten an estimate there. It's around 102. You can just say around 102,000, around 102,000, somewhere here. In units, 102,000. But BEP in revenue is how much? BEP in revenue BEP in revenue is around BEP in revenue accurately, then you can see it's around 20 million, around 20 million or 22 million there. But to get an accurate figure, it's around 102 times 250, because you multiply with 250. This is 25,690,000. So 25,690,000 is what we want to use here. So 25 million. I can use 25 million, around 25 million. That is the BEP in shillings. Remember, we're just estimating. When using a chart, you just estimate. So that is the BEP in revenue and also the BEP in units. And you can use an arrow to say that this is the shape, to say that that is what we are looking for. It's around here. Question. So any question from the descriptive statistics? Then the regression output, estimating 900,000 at 95, lower 95 and upper 95. Then using a chart to show the break-even point as well. So using the chart to show the break-even point as well.